Here are the top updates in AI this week. This includes Google announcing their new AI video generator, which outperforms all the other ones out there. OpenAI announces new embedding models, new models of GPT 3.5 and GPT 4, as well as new ways to manage your API keys and usage. We also look at this paper, which talks about an algorithm which can detect AI-generated voices. Plus, we look at an interesting use case of AI and how it can supplement art therapy. Let's jump right in. Just a few days ago, Google released their new AI video generator, and this produces really good results. It outperforms all the other major video generators out there, including Pika Labs, Runway Gen 2, and Zeroscope, and I'll show you data to back this up in a second. But first of all, let's watch their trailer video. Wow, so a lot of cool features there that we haven't really seen with previous video generators. Let's go through all of these features right now. So first of all, you have the typical text to video. I'll show you some examples here. So here's the prompt and here's the output. Sailboat sailing on a sunny day in a mountain lake. You can see it's really realistic. It captures not only the ripples in the lake, but you can see the sailboat is very consistent. The shape doesn't change over time, as we've seen with other video generators. Here's a young couple walking in heavy rain, a panda eating bamboo on a rock, and look at the details on the panda's fur. This is super realistic. Same with the bamboo, it looks like real bamboo. Here's a knight riding a horse, flying through a temple in ruins, camera moving through dry grass. You can see this, these two especially, makes for really good B-roll or drone footage. And look at the fireworks. The fireworks look very realistic. Here are some more examples. Beer pouring into glass. You can see the glass here on the edge is a bit weird, but other than that, it looks, again, very realistic. Funny cute pug dog listening to music. Yellow flowers swing in the wind. Again, this just looks so realistic. I hate to keep using that word, but it's exactly what it is. This looks like it's shot in real life. It doesn't look AI generated. You can see it's super consistent. The shapes of the flowers, the edges, they're not deformed over time, which immediately reveals that it's AI generated. But from this, it's really hard to tell. Jack Russell Terrier snowboarding, it nailed that. And then GoPro shot, you can see that it does have this wide angle GoPro feel. So it nailed this one as well. Red Lamborghini, it's able to, draw a Lamborghini. I know it's really hard for Stable Diffusion to get the car model right, but this is 100% able to draw a red Lamborghini. This looks like an actual Lamborghini. Here are some more examples. Confident teddy bear surfer rides the wave in the tropics. Toy poodle dog rides a pennyboard outdoors. Chocolate muffin, young mouse typing on a keyboard. That's cute. It got the mouse right, but the keyboard looks a bit off. So I guess it hasn't learned what a keyboard should look like yet. Oh, this is really good. Silhouette of a wolf against a twilight sky, panda playing ukulele. We're starting to see some of the common AI artifacts here. So if you try generating guitars, ukuleles, any stringed instruments, AI sucks at actually generating the strings. As you can see here, it also cannot generate the strings clearly or consistently. But you can see the hand or the paw of the panda looks very realistic. It actually looks like it's plucking the ukulele. This just shows you how good Google's algorithm is at generating motions of certain objects. Here's fish swimming underwater, really good. 360 camera shot of a sushi roll in a restaurant, and this looks, again, really realistic. I can't really spot any errors here that would give away that this was generated with AI. Alright, a few more here. Again, this dude hiking on the mountains, super realistic. Northern Lights, very realistic. Here's where we start to see some strange things going on. So this is an astronaut on planet Mars, but I don't really know what this is. Maybe it's a moon or another planet or something, but you can see the edges are very fake. So this wasn't generated correctly. And then this is also, I don't know what this is, but it doesn't look symmetrical. I'm guessing that's because this algorithm hasn't really been trained on a lot of data or photos or videos of Mars. So it kind of has to guess what Mars looks like. And that's why there are more errors and weird things going on for this generation. A dog driving a car, so it doesn't seem like he's driving, and it seems like he's going backwards just looking at the movement of the cars, so that's something wrong. It seems like he's just looking out the window and chilling, whereas someone else is driving. Here's another super realistic one, blooming cherry tree. Again, I can't really spot any errors here. This looks very realistic. And wow, chocolate syrup pouring on vanilla ice cream. Let me know in the comments below if this looks realistic or not to you. Does pouring chocolate syrup on ice cream look like that? Overall, text to video is really impressive already. Let's look at some other features. Alright, so this is image to video. So here's the original image. Just a sad cat in a striped navy blue shirt, and it animates it like this, so it makes the cat blink. Here's a teddy bear dancing in the snow, and it's pretty good. It nails that. The bear is dancing. It is snowing. This looks great. A turtle swimming. Oh wow, this is really realistic. Look at the surface waves, the movement of the turtle. Sea turtles are actually like this in real life, so again, I can't spot any flaws in this video. I wouldn't have guessed that this was AI generated. Here's a monkey drinking coffee. You can see the eyes are kind of messed up here, but it got the hands pretty nicely. Yeah, just some minor errors. Here's more examples. Panda eating popcorn. Again, just look at the movements of this panda's mouth. It's chewing. It definitely looks like it's eating. This is very realistic again. And then there are a few more examples. This wave one again looks super realistic. Same with this giraffe eating. Its mouth movements, even its ear movements. It's really hard to tell this apart from a real video. And then this one, melting pistachio ice cream dripping down the cone. Let me know if this looks to you like real ice cream dripping down a cone. I think it looks pretty good. Alright, so we've covered text to video, image to video, but those two are the normal stuff. Let's go into the advanced features. So we have stylized generation, where we input one style of image and then you give it a prompt, for example, an owl perched on a branch, and it would generate this owl perched on a branch based on your input style. So here's a dolphin leaping out of the water. You can see all of these generations are based on the style of this initial image, and then it kind of generates it like a speed paint video. So you can see it starts off with a blank canvas, and then it adds lines, and then it colors it, and then add some animation. So it's kind of like a speed paint process. Really interesting. Here's another example. So here are more like flat, opaque colors, and you can see it's able to match the style very well. Here's like a 3D cartoonish model of a house. You can see it's able to match this style very well. And another example, here's a line drawing with a red background. Very good. And you can see it kind of tries to generate it being drawn like a line drawing. And finally this one. And fun fact, there are actually mushrooms that glow in the dark. This effect is called bioluminescence, and you can find these glow-in-the-dark mushrooms in tropical jungles across the world. And they look like this in real life, in case you're curious. But anyways, here's another example. Here's like a watercolor painting, and you can see, again, it really does a good job at matching the style, but also following the prompt. Here's a sticker style. So in the future, when they actually launch this tool for us to use, I can see how you're able to create stickers really easily just by inputting a sticker image and then prompting it to generate another sticker for you. There's other stuff here. So video stylization. This basically takes an input video and turns it into another composition based on your prompt. So, for example, we have this girl running. If you prompt it with made of wooden blocks, this is what you get. Origami folded paper art, this is what you get. Super realistic, colorful toy bricks, and then made of flowers. You can see for the toy bricks one, there is some inconsistency. Here's the original input of a dog looking out the window, and here's the same dog made with wooden bricks. Here's origami. You can see this one, I really like this one. It looks just like paper. Here's toy blocks. Here's the dog made of flowers. And a few more examples. So we have a Tesla, and again, all of these are very impressive. Looks like this one is made from Lego. And lastly, we have a bear dancing. Another feature is cinemagraph. So this is where you input an image. So let's say this image of a butterfly, and then you select a certain portion of that image for it to animate. So the rest of the image would stay still. You can see in this case, it's only animating the butterfly. This is actually a feature that Runway Gen 2 already has. It's called Motion Brush, and really quickly, I'll just show you a demo video. So same thing, you paint over the areas that you want to animate, and the rest of the image would stay still. And there you go. So back to Google, you can see they're doing the same thing basically, where you select a section of the image and it would animate only that section. And from the results, this looks really good. It doesn't seem like it requires any prompt. It's able to detect that this is a butterfly and this is how butterflies move. It's able to detect this is a fire and that's how fire moves. Same with the smoke and the ripples of this lake. So really impressive. And finally, we have video in painting, where you input a video, but a section of it is blacked out, and the AI needs to fill in the blanks, basically. And you can see it does a stellar job at guessing what this black section should be. So here's one example, and here's a balloon flying off to the right, and it was able to generate all of this with AI. You can see the pattern of the balloon is kind of weird here, but other than that, it's already really impressive how it's able to guess and fill in the blanks of a video. Now, this is really impressive. Just from this split second of a hand holding a basil leaf, it's able to detect that. It looks like someone is trying to sprinkle basil leaves on top of this pizza. And it's able to generate, this top section. And look how the basil leaf lands on the pizza right here. That just looks really realistic. And then here, is it able to guess how a dog stands on two legs? And yeah, for the most part, this again looks very realistic. And again, here's another very impressive one. This is all we're giving the AI. It's able to deduce that, all right, this looks like some syrup being poured onto something. So what could this something be? Again, we blanked it out, so it has no idea what it is. It needs to generate this from scratch based on this original video. And it's able to deduce that, all right, this is probably cake or some sort of dessert, and that's what it generated. And you can see it's making this chocolate fudge be poured on this cake. And just the composition, the physics of this fudge as it lands on the cake is, again, very realistic. And finally, you can also change different objects in a video. So here's a source video, and then you mask out a section, and then you give it a prompt. So instead of this blue dress, if you prompt it wearing a gold strapless gown, there we have it. And here are some other examples of how you can change the dress on this woman. Here's an owl, and then if you select the top wearing a crown, there you go. Here's an owl wearing a crown. If you select its eyes and then click wearing sunglasses, here you go. So a lot of creative things you can do with this new AI tool. Here are some more examples. All right, so here's the scientific paper where we can dig into the details on how this algorithm works. So I'll link to it in the description below. But at a high level, what they did was they introduced this space-time U-net architecture that generates the entire temporal duration of the video at once through a single pass. And this is key here because previous models, they synthesize distant keyframes followed by temporal resolution. And if you do it that way, inconsistent results. And that's why with a lot of these earlier AI video generators, they're very inconsistent and they look more like seizures more than actual videos. But what they did here is they made a model which basically learns to generate a full frame, low resolution video in a single pass. If you want to dig into the details, you can look at, the architecture. So this is Google's approach, and this compares with, traditional video generation models. And here's where it gets interesting and why, by video is titled that this generator beats everything else. So if you go to page 9 of this study, basically they showed users Google's video versus a competitor's video. Of course, they didn't tell the users which one is which. And they compared the video to 5 competitors: Imagen Video, Pika Labs, Zeroscope, Runway Gen 2, and Animate Diff. And for all 5 competitors, the users preferred Google's video in terms of quality, as well as text alignment, so how well the video actually follows the prompt. Same with image to video. For all 3 competitors, Pika Labs, Stable Video Diffusion, and Runway Gen 2, users preferred the video by Google, which is this blue bar. So you can see this tool is super promising. They haven't released it for public usage yet, but I'm sure when this comes out, it's going to outcompete the other ones really quickly. All right, just yesterday, OpenAI announced some new embedding models and API updates. Let's look at the details. So they are releasing new models, reducing prices for GPT 3.5 Turbo, introducing new ways for developers to manage API keys. I know this has been requested by a lot of folks that I'm connected with, so it's great that they're finally implementing this. So these new models include new embedding models, which we'll go over in a second, an updated GPT-4 Turbo preview model, updated 3.5 Turbo model, and an updated text moderation model. Moving on to this new embedding model, an embedding model basically turns this high dimensional data into a lower dimensional data. So for example, it converts text into a lower dimensional space, which is this vector of numbers, which is then processed by the machine learning algorithm. So like all the AI image generators or chatbots that you use, they're not actually processing this text up front. They need to put it through this embedding model to convert it into a lower dimensional space before it is inputted into the AI algorithm. So they're announcing this new embedding model, which is called Text Embedding 3 Small, which is highly efficient and a significant upgrade over the previous embedding, which is called Embedding Ada 002. So comparing this with the previous version, the new one has a higher performance score of 44% compared to 31.4%. And then using a performance score for English tasks, the performance of this new one also increased from 61% to 62.3%. It's also cheaper, so the cost has been reduced by 5 times. So from a price per 1,000 tokens of this amount to this amount. Notice there's one more zero here. So better performance and 5 times cheaper. In addition to the Embedding 3 Small, they also announced this Text Embedding 3 Large. You can see this one has the highest performance out of all 3 embeddings. So you can see here's Embedding 3 Small. Here are some benchmark performance metrics. You can see the small embedding is already outperforming the previous Ada version 2. However, this large embedding takes it up a notch and really outperforms these two. Of course, this one is going to be more expensive, and it's priced at this many dollars per 1,000 tokens. Just slightly more expensive than the Ada version 2, which is 0.0001. They're also introducing this new GPT 3.5 Turbo model, which they named 3.5 Turbo 0125. The price for this model has been reduced by half to only $0.0005 per 1,000 tokens. Output prices are also reduced by 25%. And then if you're using this, it will be automatically upgraded from the previous one, 0613, to this one, 0125, 2 weeks after this model launches. So that was GPT 3.5. Also, for GPT-4, they released this new model called GPT-4 0125 Preview. They claim that this model completes tasks like code generation more thoroughly. It also reduces cases of laziness, where the model just doesn't complete a task. You know what's funny is, a month ago I released this video titled GPT Gets Lazier, where, someone found statistically significant data that GPT just outputted lazier responses in Q4 because it's trained on all the data of the world, and people just tend to be lazier in Q4 because it's end of the year, it's Christmas, they just want to relax and not work. So I don't know if this laziness is related to that or not, but in any case, this new GPT-4 model will reduce this laziness that is found previously. All right, and finally, they also launched this new moderation model, which they called Text Moderation 007, which allows developers to identify potentially harmful content. And it should be more robust and outperform the previous text moderation models. All right, finally, new ways to manage your API keys and understand API usage. So first, developers can now assign permissions to API keys. So if you go to your API keys table, you can see a new column called permissions, and you can click edit, and then you can select either all or restricted or read only. So if you click read only, it would look like this. If you click restricted, you can specify which permissions you want restricted. Also, they say that the API usage dashboard now exposes metrics on an API key level. So you can see this usage data broken down by API key. This is particularly useful because you're probably going to have separate API keys for different projects or different usages. So you want to break those down and see the usage of each one individually. Now, to turn this feature on, going back to your API keys table, you actually need to click this enable button in this tracking column. All right, this study is quite interesting. So as you may know, especially if you are subscribed to our channel, we've published a lot of videos on voice-to-voice conversion, how to clone your own voice, how to make AI song covers, etc. So it's really easy to create a very accurate deepfake audio of someone else. But this, of course, could lead to problems and malintent. If you're able to impersonate someone, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with this. So this team at UC Berkeley tried to develop an algorithm to distinguish between real voices and AI-generated voices. You can see the real voice looks like this, a synthetic one looks like this. So a bit of a backstory on how and why they did this. So this professor said, when this team first approached me in early spring of last year, I told them not to worry about deepfake audio because voice cloning was not very good. Oh boy, how that has changed in just the span of a few months. Like, voice cloning has gotten so good that, at least with the naked ear, it's impossible to tell if a voice was generated with AI or not. And if you've never tried this before, just check out one of our voice videos, like this one or this one, where it just sounds so realistic. It's impossible to tell apart. So then he said, I was wrong. A few months later, AI-powered voice cloning was shockingly good. So the team needed to find ideas to detect this new threat of deepfake audio. So the team analyzed audio samples of real and fake voices by looking at audio waves, as you can see in this diagram, and they analyzed features such as pauses, pause duration, amplitude, consistency, variation, and they tried to develop an algorithm that would distinguish between real and fake voices. However, they found that if you look at just these features, it wasn't really good at distinguishing between real versus fake. The most accurate result occurred when they actually used a deep learning model. And they showed that this deep learning model had an error rate between 0% to 4%, which means that 96% to 100% of the time it was able to correctly determine whether a given voice was real or whether it was generated with AI. So really interesting paper. Check it out in the description below. Last but not least, in this article, researchers developed an AI tool for art therapy. Now, what exactly is art therapy and why is it important? You can see in the introduction, art therapy is an important form of psychotherapy, which is considered to be effective in tackling anxiety, depression, PTSD, and autism. It also seems to have some benefits for people with dementia, as well as individuals who feel isolated. So they actually posted a video on YouTube about this. So I'm going to play this for you so you can see what exactly this can do and how it can actually help these people with mental challenges.
We collaborated with a group of experienced art therapists for over 10 months to design and develop DeepThink. DeepThink is a web-based system that has a responsive design, so it fits with different types of devices and could be drawn with a mouse, fingers, and stylus. DeepThink can be used both synchronously and asynchronously. During the synchronous sections, users can create art pieces with DeepThink under the observations and consultations of art therapists. During the asynchronous sections, users can use DeepThink to finish the art therapy exercises and record their feelings, which can be shared with the art therapist afterwards. Now let's see how users can interact with DeepThink to express themselves. Suppose Tom is depressed due to the pandemic, and his art therapist suggests he draws a dream holiday as part of the exercises to relieve the anxiety and stress. He opens DeepThink in his browser on his tablet and selects AI brush. The default segmentation map is sky above and sea below. He then selects mountain and adjusts adjust the size of the stroke to add a color bar. He is satisfied with the layout, so he clicks the generate button. An AI-generated image is then shown on the preview canvas. He then wants to add some wind-blowing effects to the image as the sea is too calm. So he selects the styling tool and sees if any artistic styles could help him achieve that. By browsing each style, he thinks the Kanagawa style seems to be a good choice. But he notices that the Kanagawa style introduces some yellowish color, and he wants to get rid of it since he loves cooler colors. So he switches to the filtering tool to see if there is any filter that can help him shift the tones of the image. When he goes through each filter, he notices that the contrast filter quite meets his expectations. Now he thinks the environment looks great, and he would like to stay here to spend his vacation. Hence, he clicks the user brush to add the boat and himself to the image. He feels relaxed and peaceful after finishing the drawing. We first gather an understanding of the potential usages of DeepThink through expert reviews with 3 registered art therapists. The therapists were invited to play with DeepThink and envision the potential values. Here are the sample artworks created by the art therapist. Then we conducted a 2-part user evaluation. The first part aimed to mimic the asynchronous usage in art therapy. The second part included 2 art therapy sections which were led by the art therapist. Here are some sampled artworks created by the participants. The results suggest that DeepThink has the potential to lower the expertise threshold while enhancing users' creativity and expressivity. The longitudinal iterative design process helps us contextualize the design principles of human-AI co-creation for art therapy and shed light on future research on relevant domains.
So nothing impressive or revolutionary. I think this is just like a paint app, but with AI image generation added to it. But in any case, this is another good and interesting use case for AI. I know a lot of artists hate AI art generation, but there are many benefits for AI art generation, one of which being it can be an effective tool in art therapy. So I'll link to this article in the description as well. And that's it for this week's updates in AI. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, we built a site where you can search for all the AI tools out there. Check it out at ai-search.io.